We've seen her perform in line with her legal training. She's been taught and learned how to cross-examine and to pick apart the opponent's argument. That was her job as a prosecutor for many years. And we saw it when she was a senator, when she was on the committees that were vetting um, judicial candidates for the Supreme Court. Some very pointed questions that caught out nominees, Trump nominees. So yes, if she gets a chance to do that forensic analysis of Trump's answers, it could be quite telling in her favor.
Kamala Harris is going head to head with Donald Trump tomorrow night for the first time in the presidential race. It will, though, be Donald Trump's seventh appearance in a national general election debate. So what approach is he going to take? Well, probably the traditional Trumpian approach, but we'll see. David Charter is the Times assistant US editor. David, how can we watch this live if we are minded to? It's the middle of the night, isn't it, tomorrow night?
Oh yes, well, I don't know how it's going on in Britain. I'm afraid I'm over here in Washington.
Well,
Sorry
can't you
about
move
that.
back to Britain so you can answer the question?
I'll do my best. Yeah.
Okay, yes, my apology. I'm going to find out exactly how we can watch it. I'm sure
Sorry
we can
about
listen to it, by the way, on Times Radio. Yes, we can. I've just been given the big old thumbs up.
There you go. That's
I
how to
knew
do
there was
it.
a reason I was supposed to ask you that question. Right, it's here on Times Radio. Let's start again, David.
I didn't get the memo. Sorry
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
don't worry. Well, I clearly didn't understand the memo I'd got, so that's fine. Now, the last debate between Trump and Biden, Trump's peculiarities were kind of masked by Biden's total inadequacy. Is that fair?
That's more than fair. I mean, we watched it like the rest of America and those people listening on Times Radio, mouths agape, really, as soon as Biden bumbled onto the stage, muttering, "Good evening, I'm pleased to be here," and you could hardly hear what he said when he walked on the stage, and then he gave that disastrous early answer where he lost his train of thought completely and ended up saying, for some reason, that he beat Medicare and no one knew what he meant, and it was all over. Everyone I know who was watching it said that their phones were blowing up with friends just saying, "It's all over, it's all over," and that was within 10 minutes of a 90-minute debate. And I just think that a lot of people either turned off or tuned out, and even if they had it on in the background, like of course it's going to be it's on every network. It's going to be on in the background in a lot of homes, in a lot of bars even. uh, the image was a split screen of Biden and Trump, and Biden looked terrible. His mouth was hanging open for most of the debate as he seemingly couldn't take in what Trump was saying.
Right. But
It was just the most appalling performance, sort of forgetting everything that we knew, going back to the very start of TV debates, Nixon JFK, where Nixon lost it on the optics alone for those watching on TV because he looked sweaty. Biden looked terrible. He was grey, his mouth was hanging open, and all Trump had to do was stand there, and nobody was really listening to what he was saying. But I think if they had been, they would have heard some of the usual alarming Trump grievances coming out about how the 2020 election was fraudulently taken away from him, etc. But nobody was paying attention to that then.
right. But tomorrow night they will be. Will there still be the split screen? Is that how it will work again?
Yes, exactly the same rules for this is with ABC News, but they've carried over exactly the same idea from the CNN debate, which was that it's not really a debate. When one person's speaking, the other person's microphone is turned off, so there's no possibility to intervene or to ask a quick question like that. You have to wait till it's your turn and you've been asked a question by the moderator. Then perhaps you can say, "Well, I'd just like to throw a question back in my opponent's direction." So it it's a misnomer really to call it a debate, I think, because they've tried to take a lot of the spontaneity out of it, partly because this was the deal that Biden's team did to stop Trump's continual interventions that he made in 2020.
So Kamala Harris is it fair to describe her as untested in this sort of environment? She did, after all, do the vice presidential debate last time round, didn't she?
Yeah, no, it's not fair at all because she made her name in the Democratic primary in a debate when there was about 5 or 6 people on stage. And of course, she did that intervention on Biden about busing that caught him off guard and briefly shot her to the top of the ratings in 2019 among the Democrats. So that her campaign fizzled out for various reasons, not least she had very unclear policy positions that were exposed because she then got a lot of attention. And you're right, she did the one vice presidential debate against Mike Pence. But that's best remembered, I think, for a fly landing in Mike Pence's hair that caught a lot of attention. And a lot of the detail of the debate seemed to be lost after that.
But if she is her adversarial best, she is a better performer in these sorts of environments and atmospheres than Donald Trump at his worst. Discuss.
Well, we've seen her perform in line with her legal training. She's been taught and learned how to cross-examine and to pick apart the opponent's argument. That was her job as a prosecutor for many years. And we saw it when she was a senator, when she was on the committees that were vetting judicial candidates for the Supreme Court. Some very pointed questions that caught out nominees, Trump nominees. So yes, if she gets a chance to do that forensic analysis of Trump's answers, it could be quite telling in her favor. But as I say, they've taken a lot of the back and forth out of it by the format, which,
Yeah.
by the way, Harris's team wanted to change, but the Trump team were like, no, we'll stick with what we've got. Thanks very much.
Right. And presumably she could get him on January the 6th, for example, but he will have a good go at trying to link her to Joe Biden and what he would perceive as that administration's poor economic performance.
Yeah, the trick for both of them is trying to appear new and exciting with fresh ideas for change for America, when both of them are really running as kind of incumbents. Trump with a 4-year stint behind him as president, and obviously Harris as part of the Biden-Harris administration. And she's been running so far on some of the successes, as they see it, of the Biden-Harris administration, reducing drug prices and increasing investment in America and that sort of thing, and trying to ignore really the high inflation that a lot of people linked with Biden, and that really was dooming his campaign anyway.
Now, the latest polling suggests that Kamala Harris has fallen back slightly, but I mean, basically, it's just too close to call this, isn't it?
I think all the polling, if you took a step back, if you took the 60,000 feet position, all the polling is within the margin of error. It's too close to call. The pollsters don't are not putting anybody firmly in the lead at all. The latest one, which is a Siena College for New York Times, that is a poll with a bit of a history of actually putting Trump quite a long way in the lead. It did. There was one a few months ago that it did that had him like 12 points up in Nevada, which nobody thought was correct. So I'm taking that one with a pinch of salt, but
Okay.
I'm taking all of them with a pinch of salt, to be honest, because nobody really knows. And I'll tell you one reason why. They need this debate. America doesn't really know enough about Kamala Harris.